Yo guys, welcome to a replay analysis with, it's a diamond level lesson with Mr. Hamato. And he's playing a PvT. Let's figure out what's going on with his versus Terran. And yeah, see how it's going. Okay, so far your build's okay, let's just say this. So far your build's fine. This is good versus Hellions, okay? This is good versus Hellions, but like scary versus other things. Like if this guy Marauder proxied you, I think you would just die. Just throwing it out there. I don't know how much you play Marauder proxy, but it would be super scary for you because this, I mean, at least there's a ramp for you here, which is in your favor a little bit. You send zealots quickly across to deny naturals. Okay, I mean, it will help against, as long, okay, if you're going to play aggressive with this, that's fine. I think it's fine. If you went for like a really early nexus with this and try to play defensive, I feel like it would make more sense to take it up at the high ground, because I just feel like it's so scary to Marauder proxy otherwise. But if you're going to be aggressive, then that's fine. It kind of takes away the fear of proxy. Okay. Let's see what you're scouting. So, as you're getting across the map, you see a, nice Rex. And, it's not bad. Things are going great for you at the moment. You didn't scout deeper into his base, though. I kind of wish you did. And the reason why is if we back it up, you can kind of tell what build your opponent's going for, okay? This is actually, wow, this is something you should look for, okay? Super small detail, but super relevant info. That's, like really good to know. When you go into the guy's base, like this, and you see a barracks that's probably like 65% of the way done, somewhere around there. It's like, you don't have to be exactly right. You just know that it's almost done. It's like 2/3 of the way done. If you look at his gas, so first of all, if you saw no gas, there would either be another barracks somewhere else, and this guy could be doing a marine proxy, but unlikely. Most of the time, whenever someone wants a marine proxy, they're not going to leave any barracks defensively. But if there was no gas at all, there's a good chance that if there was no natural here, there probably would be one like up here or like down here. Like the guy's probably like hiding a fucking ninja base. If he's like, if you see nothing, no gas at all, and he's just opening up with one racks, or there could just be a soon-to-be command center going down at his base as well. That could totally be the case. Obviously, it wouldn't be up yet because it's too early. But the point I'm trying to make here is you could tell that it's a high mineral build if it was no gas, and blah blah blah, and you probably would be a command center because it's defensive barracks. Now, okay, this is what's more relevant. You're probably never going to see that shit very much, but it is something that matters. But now here's what matters more, okay? This, like I said, this barracks is like 2/3 of the way done, and that gas is just now starting to mine gas. So you can already tell this is going to be for a Reaper. And this is normal. This is a standard build. And your probe doesn't have to go much further than where it already is. You just take a little dip and then go back up. It's like literally 2 seconds of running to go down to see that. And knowing that that's a Reaper is really relevant because it means that if you want to, you can alter your build now to handle a Terran who's not going to be able to harass you as heavily. Like Reaper is literally like a tiny poke. But if, let's just say, instead of only mining 4 gas, let's say this guy had already mined like 56 or some shit like that. And you're like, oh god, this guy took a gas before he took a barracks, because by the time the barracks is going to be done, he's going to have 100 gas already mined. That's the kind of moment where you probably would want to be a little bit more conservative with your defense. Like maybe throw a couple chronos or at least one at like a gateway, so that you don't get fucking destroyed by Hellions or something like that. Like, this is relevant as fuck. Like, most Terrans probably just go Reaper, But Terrans who decide to go for crazy fast Hellions, you need to do something more defensive there. Like maybe make a faster shield battery as well. So that if you can kill the Hellions down below 3, that you don't lose all your probes. Because 3 Hellions will actually still one-shot a probe even though it's near a battery. Because it is just insta-kill. But 2 Hellions don't insta-kill anymore. And the battery will heal that shit back up. Like, quite a bit. So I feel like that's something you should start paying attention to. Because you didn't scout it at all. You just kind of left. I like that you made him pull CVs, but I don't like that you just left. You should have definitely tried to scout a little more. There's a lot of info there that you missed out on. Also, another tip would be, if this guy was getting heavy gas, it doesn't have to be Hellions. He could be the kind of player that goes for like a really fast battlecruiser, or like probably not going to be too much against Protoss, but also could go for like really fast Liberator, really fast Banshee, stuff like that. Gas is definitely huge at knowing what's going on. Okay, you go back. I like that you go back at least. I'm actually not a fan of your build anymore. I'm not really a big fan. I think... yeah. I think this is another... Okay, let me explain something really fast as to what I view here. This Zealot isn't going to do anything. The only way this Zealot's going to do something is... if you... So there's one way this works, okay? There is one way this still could do something. But avoid the fucking middle of the map now. Like, literally, do not go into his path of his Reaper. Because if you get caught by the Reaper, he's just going to kill your Zealot with the Reaper. And it's going to do nothing. You're just going to make him not use his Reaper to kill your probes for a second while he kills the Zealot. So, like, I would say you should definitely run this Zealot north, not south. If this Zealot goes south, I'm scared for you. Because his Reaper, if you had scouted the gas, you can confirm that he's going Reaper, and he's going to go to your base ASAP, which means he's going to go south. So, go north. If you don't, you're going to get... the only way that works now is if he just doesn't watch the minimap and he runs past you. And you're like, oh, shit. Well, we got lucky. You're going south. So, Reaper should find you. What is he doing with the Reaper? Wait, what? Okay. He didn't even make a Reaper. Literally. This guy's crazy. His build is very weird. Yeah. So we're not coaching this guy. His build makes no sense though, I would say. He has the most awkwardly timed gas to not go Reaper. He went Marine into a reactor. So this now is actually going to do a ton of damage because this guy's build is just really weird. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, it's going to look like it does really well now. But in general, in the future, avoid the Reaper. Because if there was a Reaper, this would do nothing. It would have done... If this was a higher level Terran that made a Reaper with purpose, like his old build made sense, if he kills your Zealot across the map, you just waste your Zealot. So always avoid it. That's a huge, huge, huge thing you should do in the future. Yo, Hobo Wizard, thank you again for the bits, dude. Thank you so much, man. Thank you, thank you. Alright. You're making another Chrono Boost out of Adept now. You're back. I like that you're back up here. You're waiting for the Adept. This is really nice. Okay, let's go back and like talk about that for a second. I was maybe a little overeager there, I would say. Let me explain why I think that was overeager. Okay, so you get in here with your units, right? You have your Zealot and your Adept. Now, I'm not gonna lie. One of these units is way more value than the other. And the unit that's way more value is the Adept. The Zealot is worth like no value right now. I mean, he already did his value. This guy already got his value that you were looking for. He's not really worth much more than what he's already done. So what I think you should have done here instead is you should have actually sent the Zealot in first and then had the Adept go in after. and tried to pick off the SCV like you did, which you did kill the SCV, which is nice because it delays the command center even more, which is huge. But you could have actually probably got in, picked off the SCV, and then either killed the Marines as well, or straight up just got out with the Adept, like kited backwards and got out. Because there is only, you know, there are 4 Marines here, so it is formidable to like a half-dead Zealot as well. But yeah, like you could have done a lot more. I feel like if you just sacked the Zealot and then had the Adept follow it in rather than have the Adept go in solo.
Less than 3.
The Adept going in solo just allowed it to just straight up die, and then your Zealot just runs away and sacks the Adept. So I feel like that could have gone better for you. Because now the Zealot's going to still do nothing anyways. He's kind of worthless. Okay. And then, yeah. You did see as well. You saw this too. Right? As you went to his base. Here earlier. With your first Zealot, which was... This Zealot actually owned, okay? So, I mean, it did great. So, we already talked about how to make it work in the future, but it still did a really good job. Because you also saw this too right here. This was... I actually really like that you scouted the ramp. We didn't talk about this, but this is something that's super relevant to talk about. You scouted the ramp right after you killed the SCV on the command center instead of just smacking the command center, because you're never going to kill it with just the... Unless you were like proxying a gateway, you're never killing this thing. So I love that you didn't try to do it. And you actually saw that. You saw a reactor and a Rax, which means clearly no Hellions. And then you see another Rax this fast, which means there's a good chance that this guy is... And he also skipped a Reaper too, because you haven't seen a Reaper yet, so you know he skipped it at this point. So this is a good sign of the fact that the Terran's definitely going to go barracks heavy and tech late. So you know like everything already, which is really good. This is... Like, your scouting this game has been... other than the gas scout early on, your scouting's been really good. Alright, we'll skip kind of forward now, because we already kind of talked about this. Okay, go back to your base. I like your battery. That's intelligent. Because you know he's going heavy racks. So this guy might show up with just like fucking 12 Marines in your base or something. I like your battery. Your Robo Bay rush is fine. The fact that you're Robo Bay rushing and rushing your gases makes a lot of sense together. So I actually like that you're doing that too. It makes sense as well. Because Colossus are insanely expensive. So the only thing I want you to do with this, I would honestly say, is maybe make like one more gateway. I think the fact that you only have one gateway still, as you're already going Robo Bay, is maybe a bit light on the gates. I think you should definitely have started another gate with your Robo Bay tech. Like 30 seconds ago, essentially. Because if you try to take a third base with one gateway and a Robo, the only way that's gonna work is if like you maybe either you put a battery like right there or right here, or you literally have your Colossus trying to take your third from this, like put a battery like there and have the Colossus go up and down this area. But then it's also fucking scary too, right? Because if this guy like runs here instead, you and your Colossus are way the fuck over here, he could kill your natural. So it's like sketchy, because this guy's gonna potentially have a lot of bio early, and you're gonna have like no cover for your Colossus. If you take a third base super fast, that is, and expose yourself. Like probably take a battery super early if you're gonna take a third. Yeah, I'm pretty scared for you. I feel like you're gonna get punished. Like the worst timing ever is gonna happen to you. Nice fucking observer spread though. I really your scouting again. Let's just disregard the probe early on. Your scouting is fucking amazing, dude. You have so much vision everywhere. I don't know how much I like the probes being on the towers right now, because you already know what build he's doing. I feel like this is kind of redundant. You don't really need that, honestly. But I really like your observer in the mid, and I love your observer that watched everything come out of his base. And I love that you have another observer over here. You can definitely squeeze out 3 observers before Colossi. I fucking love that you did that. Yeah. How many gateways do you have? You still only have 1. I'm so scared that you're still going to take damage when you try to defend this. Yo, Hobo Wizard, thank you again for the fucking bits. Thank you again. My God, bro. And Midge, thank you for the 20-month resub. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Thank you, thank you. Okay, this Terran fucked up. He should be killing your third base right now, not diving your natural. Yeah. So keep in mind, right? If this Terran player decided, okay, I'm going for a bio push, and my opponent already has Colossus out and a battery, maybe not the best idea to go for that push in his fucking base, right? This Terran should not have gone for that push. He doesn't even have +1 weapons. Does he even have it even started? No. So this Terran didn't do that right either. Terrans who go for the aggressive push like that and try to break you like pretty hard pretty early, they have +1 weapons as well with that push, which also penetrates battery healing a lot more. But this guy didn't do any of that. Just keep in mind though, if you played against a Terran who did do that, if this guy was paying attention, okay, let's say he sent like an SCV out early or some shit, just to go scout if he had a third base super fast, and he goes, there's a third base. He could literally push your third and run away. He could just stimpak down your third nexus and then just literally leave. And then regroup this army with like medevacs and another round of his next units. And you would be fighting 2 base versus 2 base, but it would be like a lot more racks than you have gates, and you would have enough marauders to run your Colossus over. So it would put you in a really hard spot. You wouldn't be dead, but it would be awkward for you to play from there because you invested into a third that got denied, if that makes sense. So definitely just make another gateway. So you can actually, if the Terran does decide to go to your third, you can actually protect it and not feel like your Colossus is just going to die. Also, in the future too, definitely pay attention to the fact of what build he's going for. Like your Zealot spotted it early, right? Your Zealot saw this. And remember what I said, how that means that you should make a second gateway? That because like you're going to get attacked by aggression. Like it definitely shows you it's going to be late tech instead now early bio aggression. Put a battery at your third base as a pair as well to that. Like, insta fucking battery your expansions now for your third base. Maybe not, you don't really need to insta battery your fourth base. You could, but by the time you have your fourth base, you'll have a lot more units going on. But for your third base, definitely put an instant battery there. That way, if he shows up with that attack at your third as well, you have a battery you can use as well. Because a battery's going to, so your army could stand like right here. You could have an observer like right there and go, okay, what direction is he going to go? Is he going to go north? Should I walk my army here? Or is he going to go south and should I put my army there? And if the guy straight up just attacks you, like if he just goes straight in the middle like you're here, you could just back up to whatever battery's closer. And since you walled this here, I'd say probably back up to the south if you had a battery like right there. And just poke him on the ramp here and drag him with you. And if he tries to like run this way instead, just chase him to your base. It's fine. And if you wanted to get really crazy with it, you could even put a probe like right here, stand here, and if he chases you down, you could use your battery, and if he tries to go up, you could just build a gateway there and wall it out for a second and fuck up his AI so he gets stuck. And then you just kill his units and the little choke point here, then cancel the gateway when he dies. You could do that too. You got to be a little bit economical though and a little bit cost efficient if you're going to be taking a really quick third on greedy ass Colossus rushing with no units really. Even if you had 2 gateways, it still would be low units. But if you punish this build from him at the start, you're like gonna run away with the game because you're gonna be so far ahead for the rest of the game basically. So you definitely have holes in your play, like taking your third base that you got to fix, for sure. Biggest one is definitely just make more units. I like your fourth. You just killed his army and you're taking the fourth base. I fucking love it. That's a great reaction. He can't punish it right now, and you're gonna get so greedy. Okay, but here's the thing though. Your third base is already almost fully saturated, mineral-wise, and the gas is gonna follow super fast. You still only have 1 gateway. You need to add more shit. Like, if you don't add more shit right now, I'm gonna be worried for you, because you can easily start adding on double forge, council, and like now for real, like 3 more gates. Because you're taking your fourth, your third base is going to be fully saturated. You're going to keep making probes, and now your fourth base is also going to get saturated really fast. If you don't start making shit right now, your money, I guarantee, is going to go above 1,000 in the next minute, like 90 seconds to a minute. It's going to definitely be like rocking above 1,000 constantly if you don't do that soon. Okay, good shit. You are doing it right now. I'm proud. I'm fucking proud. What the hell? How? What do you mean? So, keep this in mind, okay? Economy, right? He is using the same production that he was using when he was on like 30 probes. Okay? Legit like 30 probes. He's still using the same production that now he has double the probes on. And here pretty soon, his probe expense, and the reason why he can get away with it right now is because he still has a probe expense. Okay? If he's still making probes out of bases really fast and chrono boosting them, he's still spending money at a decent pace, because not only does he have to build pylons really fast, he's also building probes really fast, which is double mineral expenses. But the second he's done making probes, all that money generation is now maxed out, and all that cost is now eliminated. So it literally gets crazy how it scales, because you get maximum returns with minimum investments anymore. So your money just starts exploding. That's why people have money problems if they don't realize that that's a thing, because you have a cost that goes away with maximum income. So you need to fucking prepare the next cost before that now becomes a problem. But he is, which is great. I fucking love it. Super good. More money, more problems. I gotcha. Yeah, exactly, dude. Exactly. All right, so now the guy's pushing, and see, I'm like fucking scared for you again, right? Because you're still raw. You just now got 3 gates, which I like that you got 3 gates. I want you to go double forge as well. You're only going single forge. You could totally go double forge with how greedy you're being. Okay, you started 2 more gates. I'm really glad that you started 2 more gates, but you're on such a low gateway count for too long. Like, I would have wanted you to have been on 2 gates the whole time you're making Colossus. And I would have wanted you to have been on like 4 gates now when you're now on 3 gates. So your gateway army would be substantially larger, and in turn your 4th base would be maybe just a little bit more delayed than it is. I love the idea that you took your 4th base when you did, and I would have wanted you to take a 4th base anyways, eventually, when you kill an attack. But if you were maximizing a little bit more gateway action, you'd have an army that's a little bit bigger than that, right? You have literally 6 gateway units versus that, which is a full page and a half of bio. It's fucking scary. Like, his army size is so much bigger than yours right now. It is insanely scary for you. Also, one thing about your scout too, I want you to do in the future, take an observer like this one or something, just once, or even this one. This one would be even better, to be honest. Scout his base one time. Like, scout his base periodically, maybe once every like 90 seconds or once every minute. Because if you would have seen, trust me, this is like I would say, it's a real thing. If you would have seen no 3rd base and you would have saw racks, starport, factory, and just all add-ons. He's literally essentially what this is this is 4 racks, 1 factory, and 2 starport. Because of reactors. So tech labs count as 1, reactors count as 2, because they can double up on the units. This is a lot of production. This is a fuckload of production. This guy doesn't have a 3rd base. He's investing all of his resources into military. The last thing in the world you should do is actually prioritize, like, still taking your 4th after you killed an attack was nice. I don't want to disregard that, but don't prioritize that over realizing that he's just going to do another attack. You need to fucking make more army. Like, you're being, the only thing I'm trying to make sense of here is you're being too fucking greedy, because not only is your army really light, you're also doing a tech switch right now. Like, you're going so fucking heavy in expansions versus someone who's doing 2 base all-ins essentially. And you're also tech switching now. You're preparing a tech switch. This is not the time to tech switch. Like, you do not want to be making Stargate units right now. It's not really the time for that. You really just need to, like, prioritize out your upgrades on your council, prioritize out your upgrades on your forge, get more gates, and protect your Colossus that you've made. Okay, what I would say to do here, which would be really clever, is obviously you need to keep making units constantly. You really need to keep making, and you can see, look at the minerals, right? Did we say it or did we say it? The minerals are now above 1,000. Like, it's just not enough production. There is not enough going on. But a clever thing you could do would be, like, you could actually push forward with your Colossus. Not, like, all the way in. Just poke him with your Colossus, like, poke the tank with a battery overcharge. And you could bait him in, and you could, like, focus fire down the Marines. If you can micro that. Obviously, if you can't micro that and you don't want to do that, don't even bother doing it. Just wait and build units. But you totally could, like, build another, like, battery or 2 batteries here. Overcharge your battery as you start getting shot by tanks. And then just, like, literally zap off a lot of the Marines as you back up. And then if you warp in a bunch of Zealots with charge, after you wipe out, let's say, like, half or all of his Marines, you could easily run his ass over with charge lots. Like, so fucking hard. I love that you're patient. Like, so you don't have to do the Colossus thing I said. Again, that's like just micro. As long as it doesn't distract you, it would be fine. But I actually love that you're just being patient, waiting for it. You're getting charge, and you're going to collapse on him with a flank of charge lots on the top and bottom, and your main army's going to be on the top as well. I fucking love it. It's really good. The only thing I don't love is your upgrades are bad. Like, you've got to definitely fucking... You're going Fleet Beacon. This is not the time to go fucking... You're tech switching way too hard, dude. This is not the time to go Fleet Beacon. Tech switching is basically a weakness. Expanding is a weakness versus someone who is playing aggressive like this. You're putting too much weakness in your opener, and you're going to die for it. Like, you're increasing your chances to die for it. Like, you're allowing him to have a chance to kill you more and more by doing that kind of shit. You should tech switch. Realistically, like, this army... So, let me say it like this, okay? This is actually a good... logical way to read the game. I think what you're doing right now is you're trying to have your first push kill your opponent. I feel like what you're doing is you're going, all right, when I attack him, he's going to die. And that's not what you should aim for when you're playing greedy like this. He should aim for that because he's playing aggressive as fuck. Like, this kind of a playstyle absolutely should try to kill with its first attack. Absolutely, because he's not expanding. He's playing like a very aggressive playstyle. You're playing a very defensive macro playstyle. So you should not be thinking to yourself, okay, the first time I attack my opponent, he's going to die. You should be thinking to yourself, okay, I have a lot of the map. How am I going to control the map? That's what you should be thinking. Don't think about killing him. Think about controlling the fucking map. And what that means is whatever you invest into, make a lot of it. And then once you have the map, then your opponent reacts to what you're doing, and then you tech switch. That's when you tech switch. Like, if you defended this, went over here, stopped him from taking your third base, poked the front of his base and went, let's just pretend there was a bunch of tanks there, and you went, oh fuck, this guy's like turtling hard now, then you tech switch. And then he can't stop your tech switch because he has to deal with your current army, and if he doesn't, he'll die to that. And if you're tech switching while he deals with your current army, he can't deal with your future army because he doesn't have enough money to keep up with you. Because you can afford it then, and he can't do anything about it. Tech switching before he even attacks you, all that does is it doesn't give you enough units to control the map. And it gives him opportunity now to kill your bases or potentially just fucking win the game. So definitely don't tech switch right now. Templar Archives would not be a bad idea because you're already going Council anyways. It lines up, it synergizes well because it's based off of Gateway and based off of Council. So it already goes into hand in hand with what you're doing already. You just have to add in the archives and you're good to go. Or just add a lot more gateways and get fucking a lot of charge lots and get upgrades for them. And keep making Colossus. Make a disruptor even. Make more mortals. Keep using the tech you have. You're just like stopped using your shit and you're now going Stargate. It's not the time to do that. Like again, I said before, you're literally just giving him a chance to kill you when you do that. Tech switching goes better when you have the economic advantage. No, that's not what I said. That's exactly what... Hamado thinks this game, which is why he's getting fucked right now, because he does have the economy advantage. Tech switching goes better when you have map control, and that in turn then gives you the economic advantage because your opponent can't expand because you have map control. I have a hard time dealing with Tempest without Liberators. You wouldn't have a hard time dealing with Tempest if you had enough Zealots to just run his ass over and then have Stalkers just kill them. You just don't have any army. This is your problem. Again, 2 reasons. I'll say them one more time just to recap. Number 1, you never scouted that this guy is basically doing a 2-base all-in. This 3rd base was built after he pushed you. He fucking is like super aggressive. And you took a 4th base on 1 gateway. That is way too fucking greedy versus someone who's going to be that aggressive. So you're at a disadvantage military-wise because he's got so much more shit than you. Second, so you, like I said before, you should have made more gateways faster. Secondly, you're tech switching, and you're not even using your gateways, or you weren't using your gateways or robo as much, and you're not making enough of them either. Like at this point, you have 4 gateways. You have 73 probes with 4 gates. You should, right now, you should literally have like 10 gates. Honestly. But instead, you have 3 Stargates and a fucking fleet beacon. That's a bit too much. Like, you're not even using any of them either because you can't afford it. This is expensive as shit to set up a tech switch. And are you getting like weapon upgrades on your counts or your core now too? No, but if you were, that's even more expensive again. It's just not like you're adding in all these costs that they're not necessary, and there's no second forge. Just prioritize your ground units, like get map control and then tech switch. Carriers are amazing at closing games out with Terran, but not at rushing them because then this is why you're having a problem with Liberators. It's not because Liberators are good, it's because you just don't have any units. Like Liberators are good, but it's gonna feel like they're hard to deal with either way if you just don't have units at all. Tanks are gonna feel hard to deal with if you don't have units. Everything's gonna feel hard to deal with if you don't have units. You just need to make units. Also, that was a super late battery overcharge, by the way. You actually might have had a better chance of winning that fight if you overcharged at the start of it, not at the end of it. You could still hold this, though, because you have way more value, like resources than he does. But again, like, look at this production-wise. You just now started a carrier for 7 seconds. You've been preparing this triple Stargate fleet beacon transition for the last minute, and you've started a carrier for 7 seconds now. 1 out of 3 Stargates is starting to be used. This is doing nothing, and you're getting punished for it. You see what I mean? Like you warped in 4 Stalkers, and 4 Stalkers try to beat 4 Marauders, 3 Marines, 5 Medevacs, 3 Liberators, not 2, and 3 tanks. Like you just tried to fight. You would have needed, if you just made Stalkers walk into all that AoE, you would have needed to have made probably like 25 Stalkers to win that fight at once to engage that with just Stalkers. But if you had like Zealots mixed in, if you had Colossus still there, Immortals still there, because you had more units, you could have beaten this with like 8 Stalkers. Because Stalkers don't have to kill anything except the Liberator. And then your other army deals with everything else. Again, you just don't have enough stuff. So now you're taking a massive, you're getting crippled hard here now. And the Terran is now not losing his army because you're not killing it. So he's grouping up more units that he's constantly making with old units that are already still there. And he's killing your expansions. So your investment is getting deleted and his investment is remaining. So now the game is becoming lopsided in his favor. You actually had this game in the bag and then you were too greedy and you are throwing it now. And your carriers have like you're rushing carriers and they have no investment. They have no weapon upgrade at all. That's another thing too. You shouldn't be making carriers, by the way, until you have like weapon upgrades already. Like when you make a tech switch, if you think to yourself, okay, I'm going to go for map control and I'm going to make a tech switch. which is fine. You could be like, all right, I'm starting my first Stargate, and I'm also chrono boosting out weapon upgrade. Chrono boost it repeatedly. Oh, weapon upgrade's finishing as your fleet beacon finishes. Start level 2 weapon upgrade and start your carriers, and chrono boost your weapon upgrade. And suddenly you'll be like, wow, I got my first round of carriers, and they're already level 2 weapons. Way better than 0-0. And now let's say you also let's say by the time the turn attacks you, you have like 9 carriers on level 3 weapons. Or by the time you want to close the game out with the carriers, you have like 9 of them with level 3 weapons off of like 3 Stargates. Way stronger that way, because and also that way you have map control the entire time. You're not just not making army and instead just making buildings constantly. This guy's also a dick. Almost left now while head. Yeah, this guy's being an asshole. Whatever. I like your attitude though. You're not taking it too hard. Yeah, but what a dickhead. Oh my god. It's nice, dude. Nice. Don't worry, Hamato. If you kind of fix the things I just said throughout this replay, you're gonna crush players like this, and then he won't get to say leave anymore against you, because you actually had this game in the bag. If you just didn't play so fucking greedy with your tech switch and, you know, not reacting to the fact that he was being so aggressive. Fix that, and you're gonna crush. You definitely 100% outmacroed him so much this game. You just gotta fix your a little bit of things here and there, and you're good to go. Fucking leave, bro. Leave. Wow, he's even building command center in your base. He's building command center in every base. Whoa. Alright, well, anyways, I hope that made sense. I feel like that game is pretty straightforward. So, yeah, fix those things, and then 100% you're going to have more success with your transitions in the future. You got to get map control, though. It is, like, pretty important. You have to do that, because you can limit his economy and control the map, and then you can tech switch. And not die. And also, in turn, that also protects yours. But yeah, anyways, much love. Thanks for watching, guys. Shout out to Hamato for doing this. And I'll see you guys in the next replay analysis, helping somebody else out next time. And yo, good luck in your games. I'll see you guys then. Peace.